right in the foam. So anyway, what I was telling Pete today, he's become a really fine shooter. I mean, a year ago, it was about a year ago, we worked together and we had to build mechanics. We had to put all the precepts in place for your mental management. You come in and your mechanics are awesome and you're missing about 20% of the mental management. You'd use some of the tools, but had a little roller coaster ride because you weren't using them all the time. Like you use the speech to correct the reflex to the aim, but then you wouldn't use the speech, and then your shooting drove because you didn't know the power of the speech, the power of instructing yourself what specifically to do that override the reflex to the aim that you'd built. And so then we kind of cleaned up the mental management, and now the mechanics look awesome, but he's missing like this, and like he's a way better shooter than that. He's got the mechanics, he's got the ability, and I was like, Pete, you got to hit another level now. You're turning into a fine shooter, but you're not executing at the level you're capable of. You're shooting a great shot mechanically now, but you really didn't have the aim that was specifically on that target. You're accepting a good shot, not that shot that's on the spot, right? And so we kind of rehearsed a little conversation that you were going to have in your brain, and did a couple SPTs that showed you the calmness that you're looking for, because we got him up here knowing he's not going to shoot, and got on the aim and stayed in that press for 4 or 5 seconds and then let that thing down. And you reported back what I anticipated. Yeah, like at a second and a half, that was money. Like I wanted to shoot that, right? Yeah. This is a very powerful drill to show you what you're looking for. And then we rehearsed the conversation you're going to have, and I let you do it in your own head. And okay, you got to an aim you were proud of. So anyways, you kind of rehearsed back to me what your conversation was like, what your mental management, how you directed your thoughts. Can you replay that again for me?
Yeah, I just felt this calmness kind of overcome me at about maybe half a second to a second in, where normally that'd be like right around where I would punch.
Yeah.
And I just kind of let it settle, and I stopped aiming, and I started telling myself press, and then shot broke I could have broke the shot whenever I wanted to. Yeah. I was in complete control. I could have let down, I could have not shot.
So you the SPT accomplished that if I stay in here, the storm will pass kind of concept.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you were staying in conscious control of stay in here. You said, how'd you word it? Let it settle, let it settle.
Let it settle,
So you were instructing yourself, let it settle, and then it did, right?
Yeah.
But then you transitioned. You just explained your transition into your press and staying in your press. Even though the aim's perfect, you could have shot right then, but you didn't shoot on the aim. You stayed in the press and you finished that baby like it should. And it was right on the dot. It's first time today.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we're going to shoot now more. You shoot one off. Okay, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We just apply the same mentality and the same conversation to the next one. Okay. That's all we're after. Obtaining a higher percentage of those perfectly executed mentally and physically shots.
Yep.
So proceed. We're not going to sweat it if it's 4 inches off now.
Except the camera's going, but yeah.
Right. But actually,
high pressure shot.
Yeah, use that camera to say,
do it right.
Give the mental middle finger to the camera, like, no, I'm going to still do it anyway. Have the calm conversation from the start to the finish. It's the verbalization of how you're driving the tension in your anchor and transferal hold, and the maintenance you're applying to that tension, right? And then the thought, the instruction to finish that, increase that tension through the string. So start in the back, stay in the back, finish in the back is a nice concept, but how? Is you're just directing yourself right through that whole thing. Let's try it again, buddy.
All right.
Two inches low.
Okay.
Now, what's your analysis of that?
I felt like my bow arm might have given up a little bit on it. Like it just felt like I started drifting low.
Yeah, and I thought it was a little faster than it needed to be. If you'd have hung in there a little longer,
probably would have corrected
the brain would have self-corrected.
Yeah.
Right in the foam.
That was a little rushed, but yeah.
It was a little fast, but you had the separation of every job.
Yeah.
The aim was good, and the transition into your finish mentally The speech was, yeah, it's good, and then you tell me what you were thinking that time.
So
how you were directing that shot.
So because of the previous arrow, I almost overcompensated because I was thinking to myself, well, you better go faster because your bow arm's getting tired and it's going to drift. So it's there, it's still there. Okay, we're done with aiming. Let's
move right into your follow through.
Yeah.
That's fine. The only problem with that was that the bow arm's getting tired is not instructive.
Yeah.
And really, you don't have to worry about your bow arm. It's plenty strong enough. Let's do it again. That was a nice shot, man. By the way, he's got 3 arrows in a group about like this. He's got 2 in the foam and 1 a touch under. Just talk yourself through it. In here, transfer. Nice work. Nice work.
All right.
So did you see the timing within that shot?
Yeah.
That's a good timing for a hunting shot. So at this point, you're hitting a circle about that big. Now that you've taken more care in your shot and you've applied more management to it throughout the whole thing. You stayed in that thinking part of your brain. You stayed in that prefrontal, that executive function. At the start, you were speaking yourself what to do. You came in here, and the whole way you had this self-conversation going, right? So for drill, what I'd like you to do in practice is make those presses longer, just to keep that separation better.
Slow
Even
it
if your
down,
eyes wander off and you forget to reconfirm your aim, that's fine.
Okay.
You got to remember, your brain's always going to try to shorten that timing down. And so
it's their boom. It's their boom, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it becomes punchy again.
And then, from a full second in there, it goes to a half second, goes to a quarter second, goes right with the aim again, and off you go.
Yeah.
So as far as your practice session, your homework is staying in expansion longer than you need to, even if it doesn't produce the shot you want.
And what I like about the drill that we did with the letdown is that's something I can do. I don't even need a target, right? Well,
no, you need something to point your aim at.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I can do that in the basement garage at 2 yards.
If you could mix in at least a half a dozen of those every time you practice, it just makes you more powerful. Remember that SPT is specific physical training because staying in that back tension is strengthening those muscles that you want to use for the fine motor control of this expansion move through the trigger, through the release, or through the string to your follow through, right? But it's also showing you what you're looking for mentally. It also shows you that if you are excited and you get that epinephrine bump and that stormy brain's going on, if you'll just stay in there long enough,
work through it,
the storm will pass, or that brain chemical will bleed off, and there's the calmness I'm looking for, and finish it. And you got to observe these things while you're practicing, and it helps you self-diagnose. It helps you improve. You're fixing to be one fine shooter, buddy. Nice work.
Appreciate you saying that.
From where we started last year, and my gosh, it was just great shooting, buddy. Yeah. Good work.
For me too, what helps is having that positive feedback of like, hey, if I let that storm just go away, it's gonna suck for a little bit, but if I let it go away for just a second, I can start stacking arrows.
Yeah. Thanks for that. That's such a critical point. Good add-on there, buddy.
It's gonna suck, but it's only gonna suck for maybe a second, and then it's gonna calm down, and then
Great add-on. Great.